Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking all about early game fleets. And by early game, I mean super early game, right when you hit level 60, and even before, because farming ships before you hit level 60 is something you can do, and it's actually pretty important. Now, I'm not talking about this isn't a device for hyperdrive bundle players or lightspeed bundle players. They zoom way past all this stuff. I'm talking about ships that are easy to farm, reliable, in combat or for some other reason, or just easy to star. Most of these are good in combat in one way or another and easy to star. So we're going to be looking mostly at ships that you can get with some form of currency or another, and a node in some cases. For ships that are on just a farming node, they take a lot longer and are not going to make this list. So let's get into it. First ship we're talking about, and one that has been in the starting lineup of my GoTanks account Fleet Arena for months now, is Imperial TIE Fighter. This is super strong even for a late gamer. In an early game, it's extremely accessible, as well as its pilot, because both the ship and the pilot are on the same Cantina node. So I forget what level you have to be, 40 something or 50 or something, to unlock this node, but getting both the pilot and the ship are fantastic. You will probably 7-star the pilot before the ship, and the ship might be like 5 stars or something. But then there's tons of other ways to farm the ship as well. Guild Event Store and Fleet are a little bit more expensive, but it's also in the Galactic War Store. There's multiple fleet currencies you can get with it, and it's good. It's really fast. Even at the low level I'm at, I have 179 speed, which in ships is fast. You get out in front is a good damaging move. You get foresight for 2 turns, so you're going to get a guaranteed dodge, and then when he dodges, he's giving turn meter to the capital ship. It's better when it's an Empire capital ship, but even if it's not, it's still working out. That's why I've used this for so long on a Mace Windu fleet, just because it's just so easy to farm, and sometimes the overall quality of a ship gets beat out by the accessibility. Like I have Anakin's ship, and it takes forever to farm, but my TIE Fighter is still making it work in the starting lineup for months now, because it was easier to get to 7 stars. And it's a dark side ship, which is really important for the ability match challenge, which is rightfully so considered the most important fleet challenge out there. So TIE Fighter Pilot, first thing comes to mind. Next, we have TIE Silencer. Like TIE Fighter Pilot, it can be unlocked and farmed before ships even opens at level 60. So it's in Sector 3 of Cantina nodes. It has Kylo Ren Mask, Pilot, and the ship on the same node, which is just so efficient and useful. There's not a bunch of currencies for the ship like there was TIE Fighter Pilot, but still really strong. It is a dark side ship for that challenge. It's a pretty fast ship, so 172, pretty fast for ships. It's got a stun on the basic, like even at level 1 it can stun, which is not going to happen all the time. They have to be over 50% turn meter, and it gets resisted a lot, but still really useful. And the ship, it ramps up as you go, gets offense as it's getting hit, and gets turn meter. So it's actually very beginner friendly. I've had it in my reinforcements for the longest time, helped me get through and win that Executrix challenge. So really useful, really easy to get. So if you're trying to get ships early before you unlock level 60, this is one of the ways to go. That really helps you clear those early nodes, Sector 1, Sector 2, the early fleet challenges. It really helps get the ball rolling, and if you're lucky, you could even climb for a short period in Fleet Arena before the Lightspeed bundles stop dropping with these early farms. So get yourself a TIE Silencer if you're just starting out. Next up, we got Ghost, and by the way, these are not in any particular order, but I am focusing on the ships that you can unlock earlier. And the Ghost is farmed on the same node as one of its pilots, not all of its pilots, but if you are farming Nula, you're probably farming the rest of the Phoenix, which go along with it. And this is a Sector 2 node, so you can start farming this really early and hopefully unlock it before fleets unlock. And dark side ships are not the only important thing. You do need light side ships for those challenges too. And this is one of the ships that has helped me unlock. I just unlocked a 6-star Mace Windu, and I needed a 5-star Ghost for that. Or I needed 6 5-star light side ships, which is kind of hard to come by. They are available in some currencies like the Guild Events store and the Fleet store, so those don't open up really early. That's going to be level 60 and level 65 where you get them, and they're a little bit more hard to part with. It's not available in Galactic War currency, but still a really solid ship to pick up. I haven't leaned into like a Rebel fleet side of things, But also, this is needed to unlock the Chimera and Thrawn ship, which is a great ship. So it's really important to get this at some point or another, and you can farm it super early. And I'm a Phoenix aficionado, so I think it's really great value. In combat, it's nice tagged up with Phantom, which we'll talk about later. Can stealth itself. It's got an AoE, it can inflict expose, which sometimes expose early on is a much better way to deal damage than just attacks, because it is health percentage based damage, and early on you don't have tons of firepower. And the fact that it just lines up with a good team already is even more valuable. So, Ghost. And of course, you can't have Ghost without Phantom, and most of the same stuff I talked about with Ghost applies to Phantom, the farming synergies. However, the downside is it is on the Sabine node, and Sabine, for the intents and purposes of a newer account, is a slower farm, so it's not going to come into play. She's not going to come into play early. And most of her value that people see in the late game is from her Zeta. So early on, I don't recommend using Sabine in the actual Phoenix squad, but you do farm the ship. You can unlock it before you even get level 60, and it's one of those light side ships you're going to need to farm up. Also, I just got it to 5-star just in time for level 82 and getting a 6-star Mace Windu. It's got some nice synergies with Ghost. If Ghost is like debuff to critically hit, Phantom will taunt and gain foresight, and this is an early level, like this is level 1 ability, and that is a really nice and annoying mechanic, even to face as an end gamer, because it's like hide and seek. It'll be stealth and then pop out for taunt and then dodge it and then hide under stealth. So you can actually survive a good long while, even with kind of weaker ships, just because of that mechanic. It does do solid damage once you have Ezra upgraded a bit, and it's got some nice stat boosts, or like buff gain chances too. So just a pretty solid ship and just useful all around. Need it for Chimera. So definitely try to farm this early. If you're going the Phoenix route, it's going to be kind of a no-brainer just to add Sabine's farm just to get this ship. And next up, we got Five's ship, and this is a ship I kind of overlooked when I was doing my farming guide edition this time. It's a Galactic Republic ship, first one we're talking about. And it's pretty strong too. It has that farming synergy where its pilot and the ship is on the same node. It's very early on. It's a Sector 2. And even though I don't use Fives right now in like combat on its own, really, this ship has been extremely instrumental in the early success of my Gotenks account. If you've been following, I was able to get, before the Lightspeed bundles dropped again, I got up to rank 10 in Fleet Arena. Even among all these hyperdrive players, there was no other free players for miles. And this ship was a huge part of it. It is very fast. It's got great health and protection, which is kind of rare in ships. A lot of ships just have some good health and not much protection at all. And when you use it with Mace Windu, it does have the tank tag, so you can force a taunt on it with crit immunity, which is really nice. The most annoying thing about it is whenever you do damage, you're giving turn meter to your opponent, your enemy. Then you're also gaining turn meter on your own. I finally got to the point where I get more turn meter than give away, but it does. I don't know. It helps you get through, and he does do good damage. This move kind of turns into an AOE. It hits target locked characters that aren't even your target, so it's great for early damage. My starting lineup does include and has included for the longest time Fives, and I was able to get out kind of a wombo combo and kill at least one ship before the enemy went with a combination of TIE Fighter Pilot, Umbaran Starfighter, and Ahsoka Tano, because they're all pretty fast and do pretty good damage. It also has a buff dispel on its basic and can inflict offense down and defense down. They're pretty nice buffs early on. And yeah, I unlocked it before level 60. That's the advantage of it being on the node. It's also available in the Galactic War store. Not very frequently, it's kind of rare there. And then the Fleet store, and also Guild Event 1 currency. So I'm still getting there for 7 stars, but it is a pretty quick farm when you consider the grand scheme of things. Next up, we got Ahsoka Tano's Starfighter, and this is the first ship we're talking about that you cannot start farming before level 60. You need to hit level 60, and then it will appear in the Galactic War Store, which is the primary way you farm it. Even right now, it's in there. There's only 3 slots for ships, and this pops up extremely often. So for newer players, I recommend after you get Zeb to 5 stars, you start hoarding Galactic War currency until you hit level 60. And then also, it's available in Fleet Arena Store to speed it up if you need, but you can do it exclusively in Galactic War Store, and it's still very fast. This was the first 7-star ship I had, and farming with currencies is way, way faster than just farming through nodes, as I've already mentioned. It is a great ship. It's really strong, both now and in the late game. Pretty fast. It's more or less, it's pretty flimsy. Mine is pretty developed now, so I have 70k health, but it is more flimsy. The AI likes to target it, but it does great damage. As a dispel, that buff dispel is really valuable in the early game. It can give out offense up to other allies, even at a level 1 ability, and it can flip debuffs into retribution on all allies that have debuffs, and also get yourself some protection up. So a lot of times I would get out there, hit them with TIE Fighter Pilot, then Ahsoka, and then Barn Starfighter, and then they'd finally get to go. They'd go all in on Ahsoka, and then I'd use that flip ability if I got debuffed, keep it alive a little bit longer, and hold the door, or hold the fort down, waiting for Plo Koon to come in and heal up. So super strong ship, good damage, just great quality. It's super, super easy farm. The only downside is you have to wait until level 60, but even then, I unlocked it within like a day or two, so still really, really fast. Next up, we got Spy. It's not quite as easy of a farm as most of the others we've talked about so far, but it is in, it's not showing there right now, it is in the Galactic War Store very frequently. It is in the Fleet Arena Store. I don't know if it's in guild events, but you don't really need to get it from there. You mainly just need to hit it in Galactic War Store. It is a dark side ship, very popular. Part of one of the most popular beginning fleets out there, which is Executrix with Geonosians. And I don't have a problem with that approach. It's just I was going a different route with this account. But if you're going that route, it does make it a lot easier to get through that ability challenge. But whenever you're going pure dark side, you're kind of neglecting fleet currency and training droids. But Geonosians overall, they hit really hard. They are really slow. So he's 109. Spy, you farm in Cantina, so it does take some time. Or it's pretty fast, but it's resource intensive because Cantina energy is hard to come by and it's expensive. But it's not too bad. The Spy shards also pop up in the fleet store, and it's got a nice mechanic where it will stealth itself when it gets hit or has a chance to, and also shares that with Geospy. Well, that's later on, so it doesn't share that right away, but it can stealth itself. This ship was really important to me, even though I was kind of neglecting dark fleet side ships for a while. It was instrumental in unlocking 5-star Executrix because of that hide ability and the big damage from its mass assist. So yeah, Spy, it's not, I mean, I did get it obviously, but it's not like it wasn't an early focus of mine. I was kind of late to the game, but still really strong and one of the best approaches to the beginning of the game. You can't farm it before level 60, you gotta wait till after, but still a great ship as part of a great fleet to invest in right away. And the next is like the soldier ship. They're two peas in a pod. They go together, let's be honest. They're farmed basically exactly the same way. Galactic War Store, Fleet Store. This doesn't matter, like 90. I just unlocked this at level 82. Like that's so late in the game. But Geo Soldier is pretty easy to farm. It's actually easier to farm than Spy just because it's on an earlier node. It's only 8 energy in Cantina. But everyone kind of wants your Cantina energy all the time. Fleet Arena Store as well, so quick farm, and it's got good damage, but like the Spy, it is slow, but 107, so compare that to the other ships I showed you. But they survive a long time because Spy stealth itself, and then Sunfac taunts pretty early. I'll talk about Sunfac later, he is on this list. And this ship has a chance to assist randomly. It's extra for Separatists, so if you are using a bunch of Separatists, that's better, but it is a good damage engine. So yeah, that's Geo Soldier. And now to take a break from the dark side, Geonosian side of things, and look at Biggs Darklighter's X-Wing. So this used to be considered one of the best fleets in the game when Fleet started. You can't farm it before level 60, but it is really easily accessible in the Galactic War Store and also Fleet Arena Store. And the pilot is accessible in the Galactic War Store as well. And if that's not fast enough for you, which it should be, it's probably plenty fast, he's also in Cantina. So you can get him to 7 stars pretty fast, which really affects the ship's stats. Just a great tank. I don't have my Biggs leveled up much, so you're not going to see, but it has great health and protection, okay speed. It's already faster than Geonosians to start. Decent damage, great survivability, and recovers protection when target lock happens to your enemy, which is very often. So it's a really solid ship. It's not required for Chimera, but you can get Chimera unlocked with Phoenix ships and just big Starklighter ship. So really important in that regard. If you're going for a Rebel start and maybe focus on a Rebel fleet, he's an absolute must. I just focus on a Galactic Republic route personally, so I haven't been using him. But when I played first time around, or played ships first time around 2019, I used this ship extensively, so it's still a great option. Next up, we got Sunfax Starfighter, the last of our Geo ships, and a great dark side tank. It's not quite as easy to farm as the other Geo ships, because while it is in the Galactic War Store, it rotates way less frequently, so it's going to be slower in that regard, but you can add its fleet node to the farm. It's got some nice gear. This one's kind of nice. You can get it once you're level 65 with the Guild Event tokens ×1, or Mark 1. I don't know. That's a great value proposition, but it's also in the Fleet Arena store. And Sunfac, his primary farm method, I would say, is this raid currency. So it pops up with the OG guild currency as well for 450, but 200 currency for 10 shards, not a bad deal at all. So once you decide to really get to him, it should be easy. He's a really annoying ship to deal with in the early game if you're going against him, just because the way he taunts is passive. If an enemy has a buff, then he taunts. So you can't just like dispel it and be done with it. You would need buff immunity to keep the taunt off. So it's really strong. He also can stun if they're buffed. So that's really nice. Stuns don't happen a ton early game. He's got decent damage, but pretty durable once you get him up and running. Really slow, even slower than Soldier and Spy, but he is going to really soak up the hits for you, which is invaluable in his dark side ship events and unlocks. So if you're going that route, Geos, it's still a really integral part of it. And the last ship I'm going to really recommend for newer players is Slave 1. And this is not an easy farm at all. It's not in Galactic War Store. It's not farmable before you get to level 60. None of that stuff. You can start farming it in Sector 2, a fleet, and it does have a fleet currency node that comes around once in a while. But why I say it's so important is because it's a cargo ship. It's also got a good pilot, bounty hunter, both important, easy to farm. But the cargo ships are needed for contraband cargo, so you need a minimum of 3 to do the event, and that'll give you prestige, fleet credits, and ability mats, and also shards for other ships, which are hard enough to come by as it is. So all you need is this ship and then the 2 Phoenix ships, and you can do it. So when I got this to 4-star, I started doing that. I've gotten to do contraband cargo multiple times, and those 3 are the easiest cargo ships to unlock. So that's why I recommend this, even though it is a little slower. It's not going to help you right away. It's going to take a month or 2 or something to unlock, but it is worth it. Definitely should go for it. And Boba Fett's an easy farm. He's in the Cantina store. He's also on a dark side note if you want to speed it up. So when you decide to get around to him, it's not too difficult. So yeah, that is it for all the best, most beginner-friendly ships, or most important, like this one. There's some honorable mentions I would throw in there, like Plo Koon. He's pretty easily farmable. Galactic War Store. Good on a Galactic Republic fleet, but he doesn't hit too hard. He's not super durable. He's kind of fast, but he's a great utility player. I really recommend that only if you're going for Galactic Republic fleets. He can force a taunt, which is nice, but I wouldn't be using him. I don't know. Maybe he shouldn't be an honorable mention. He is pretty fast to farm. Just Plo Koon as a character is not that great early on. But still, yeah, that'd be an honorable mention. Anakin is something I think you should farm early, but it's not great early. It takes a long time for it to get going. Same thing with Y-Wing. All these things I farm early, but not necessarily helping you at the very beginning of an account. So that is it for this one. Hope you learned something. Hope this helps new players. Hope it's easily findable, accessible on YouTube. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.